share with you the fun, confronting, wild, fucked up, epic, and raw side of being a woman in today's world. Nothing is off limits. Allow yourself to be inspired, to be unleashed.
We acknowledge that we are recording our podcast on the traditional country of the Turrbal and Yagara people and pay respect to their elders past and present. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and contribution they make to this community.
Hello, hello. Welcome
Hi.
back to the Women Unleashed podcast. Today, we're talking about listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you all just went, ooh. You probably, if you clicked on this episode, well done.
Yeah. Good start.
Yeah, maybe we've got to name it something really creative so people actually listen to it.
Yeah.
And then I bet you once they heard listening, they would have been like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yep, checking out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's so important, because people don't listen to each other.
No.
And inside of listening, well, you'll have really great conversations, relationships, satisfaction.
Yep.
I reckon. So, what is listening, Taylor?
Well, I think we've kind of, what did we say? It's kind of,
Well, the first
it's hearing,
issue
it's
is,
hearing what someone is saying and being in the moment with them.
yeah,
And being with what they're saying rather than being in your head.
correct. And we'll kind of flesh that out a bit more.
Yeah.
I think the reason why it was challenging is when you Google it, you don't get what is listening.
Well, no, I wouldn't. I don't think it's
Listening at all.
no.
No. So the it just tells what dictionary is this coming from. The Oxford Languages.
It's just Google.
So
When you Google, the first thing
that comes up is give one's attention to a sound. So that's like me farting and you going, oh, Brit, that's going to smell.
Yeah, that's not really. I don't know. That's not really engaging or
Listening. It's
No.
not, well, we'll get to why it's not listening. So the next one is take notice of an act. Take notice of and act on what someone says, respond to advice or request. So part of that, acting on what someone says or acting in accordance with some advice or request, that would be classed as listening. What isn't classed as listening is hearing you heard what they said but choosing not to do it anyway. No, it's just not hearing it at all. And then make an effort to hear something. That is not fucking listening. Making an effort. You either hear someone or you don't.
yeah.
And be alert and ready to hear something or use to urge someone to pay attention to what one is going to say.
Yeah, they're just not. I don't know. They're not really listening.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are listening to respond, listen to
In order to
in order to respond to advice or a request.
Yep. Yep.
And normally when you're doing that, you're just listening to how you're going to respond in your head. You're not listening to what they've actually said.
Correct. Or have many of you had conversations where it might be a difficult conversation and you're resisting it because you want it to go a particular way. And so in your head, you think about, okay, I'm going to say this, they're going to say that. I'm going to say this, they're going to say that. You then say what you're going to say. You don't listen and then you say again what you're going to say and it doesn't go well because you're not actually listening.
Yeah, you're not in the conversation.
No. Yeah. So you're just hearing for your break to say what it is that you want to say, not actually what it is that they said. Yeah.
Yep. And listening to, it also, I guess, when you do respond, because you're in a conversation, it's also about being able to repeat back to someone what they've said and but not repeat back word for word, but let them know that they have been heard and acknowledge what they've said. And the only way you can do that is by listening properly.
Yes. Yeah. So don't parrot them.
No.
But you've got to acknowledge what you've heard. And sometimes if you're not listening, you can say, sorry, I wasn't listening. Or I only heard part of that. Is this what you said?
I say that all the time. Not all the time. Well, yeah, I don't listen all the time.
I catch myself.
But yeah, I'll go, oh, yep, definitely wasn't listening because I got that wrong. Sorry about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we say is actually hearing what someone said without listening to your little voice about what the little voice has to say about what it is they're saying.
So it's not being in your head, it's being out in the conversation.
Listening to the little voice is what we say is being in your head.
Yeah.
Rather than being out here.
With the person.
Yeah, listening to what they say. So it's actually, you can ignore that little thing, but as soon as you, like, say you're talking, Taylor, and I hear the little voice, I go, oh, geez, I wish that wasn't there. You've stopped listening. Because you're focusing on the little voice.
Yeah.
Just get that if you've got a little voice, everyone's got one. Most people do. And it's just there.
Yeah.
And quite often it will have some kind of judgment or opinion about what's being said.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
What also can be in your listening?
Well, the perception you have of that person.
Yeah.
So like every time you have a conversation with them, you think it'll go one way. Then you're already listening for that type of way it's going to go. So you're not really in the conversation. It's like you pre-prepared yourself for what's going to be said and you're waiting to just respond in that way.
Yeah.
You know, which is not being in the conversation either. Or really listening, because you're just listening to the perception you have of that person already.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, or the interactions you've had previously basing off this reaction. Interaction, sorry, not reaction.
Yeah, and quite often a easy way to pick it, I have noticed, and you can practice it because if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably listening to other podcasts. If someone is interviewing someone and they ask a question, the person responds, and then they ask like another question that doesn't really seem to kind of connect to the one before. If they ask it without acknowledging what the person said and move on to the next question, then they're just listening for the person to finish.
Yeah.
And then so that they can ask the next question. They're not actually listening.
Well, it's not really a conversation then, is it? It's not really a conversation because it's just listening to respond.
Correct. And that is that's a form of what's not listening. Yep.
Yeah.
Because as you're listening to respond, you're listening to own your little voice to say, well, I agree, I disagree, etc.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. On what you're saying about the perceptions of people, to really get clear around how much your perception of someone, which is your opinion, impacts how you listen or even stops you from listening, think about any baby that's been in your life. And look, if you don't like babies, too bad. Think about something else like, I don't know. If they don't talk, it might be a bit of a struggle. But like a dog, it can't talk, but it takes actions. So you can kind of listen to a dog, right? Because you're like, oh, he's sick. He's a bit, like sad or something. But a baby, right? You're like, whoa, they're so cute. The sun shines out of their ass. Like, they're just, you think they're the bee's knees. They're just really, really cute, right?
Yeah.
And then think about that person that you always get pissed off when you talk to. You do not think that person was once a little baby.
No.
So you have a perception of them that is not them as born. It's them plus all this other shit that you put there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So how do you listen? Oh.
Well, I think one thing is to like not have distractions. So like being on your phone, that's not really listening, is it?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, like with the AirPods these days, you don't need to have the phone to your head to have a conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the AirPods.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah, I find it's the eye contact. Or like if you're on the phone though.
It's just not being distracted. It's not doing other things while you're talking to someone. They're the easier things to not do. The voice in your head, that's like a training thing to like snap back, listen. But yeah, definitely the phone. And like I know sometimes I've been on conversations on the phone and I like might unstack the dishwasher and things like that. Like that's not really, you're not listening.
Yeah.
You're not being present to that person.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's interesting. I know someone who does that really well, and I want to have more conversations, but I want to like get shit done too, like fold the washing or whatever.
Me too.
I reckon I could fold the washing. I'm kind of like it's a mind numbing kind of task. Or I can't cook and talk at the same time.
No,
that doesn't work. But yeah, it's really like acknowledging that voice is going to be there, and just if you can be with someone, look at them. Actually look at them while you're speaking.
Yeah.
And if you're on the video, like look at them. Don't look at the corner of the room whilst actually look at them. Like, okay.
And then I guess with your brain, trying to switch that off, you've just got to keep practicing bringing yourself back.
You can't switch it off. That's the thing.
No.
It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So getting that it's always going to be there. Oh, okay. That little thing's just going to keep running.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Alrighties. What else do we want to say about listening? I'm still not.
It'll like change. Well, yeah, I'm not great at it all. I have moments, but it'll just change your relationships with people. Like you connect better with them, like being more present in the conversation, especially with Will. Like I can notice the connections better than when you're distracted by
much better connection. Yeah.
Other things.
Do you experience when you're actually listening, you can hear things that are unsaid but communicated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And
when you're really
what would those
there.
things be?
We can kind of tell when people aren't really telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
About what they're really feeling about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like the uncomfortableness of the conversation for them.
Yeah.
But mostly
like you can feel their experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can feel exactly what you just said. Feel it more of their experience than just through their words.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of like a journey you're taking on. But definitely with some people you can, well, when you're really listening, you can tell when people aren't telling the full story or the truth about something or really how they feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like the lies out, which enables you to ask another question, right? Like rather than make them wrong for telling a lie or
yeah.
something like
But
that.
sometimes it's just because they're just trying to keep face. It's not like you think
Yeah.
they're a liar.
No,
It's just people don't always want to be with what's real. They're really there for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think there's a bit of significance around lying. If you technically, if you don't say what's so, then you're lying.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah, like if you're trying to save face,
Mm.
you're lying.
Yeah.
I definitely got to be with that.
Me too. I was going to say something else, but I've completely forgotten.
It's okay to ask someone to say something again and acknowledge, hey, look, I'm really sorry. I did not listen to that. I was not present. Can you say that again?
Yeah. And asking lots of questions is really good too to really clarify and understand someone, and is a good way to listen as well as
without listening to what question you want to ask them.
Yeah.
Talking.
Yeah. Sorry, but to get like a more maybe honest or like really understand them is through questions, not always talking about like your experience of something. It can be just through asking lots of questions, which also shows someone that you're listening.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think that's
awesome. So that's the listening.
Yeah, I think that covers it off today. So thank you all for listening, and we hope you have fun sharing what you've gotten for yourself out of listening to this episode. Our goal is for our content to reach as many people as possible and become the #1 women empowerment podcast in Australia. Our call to action is that you contribute to the women in your life by sharing this episode, subscribing to our podcast, giving us a 5-star rating, and leaving a review. See you for now.
Bye.